Second World War had a great impact on the face of Norfolk. Reminders of the important part Norfolk played in the Second World War can be found scattered across the county. Drive along the B1105 between Fakenham and Wells next to the sea, and you'll come across a cluster of wartime architecture. Hidden among the maturing trees, these decaying structures survive as part of the few visible remains of a forgotten airfield, RAF North Creake. Originally a bombing decoy for nearby RAF docking, an airfield was constructed here in 1942 to serve as a satellite airfield for RAF Folsham. Almost immediately, the station was put into care and maintenance, following plans to extend the runways to accommodate larger aircraft for Bomber Command. But due to changing plans within Bomber Command, the planned extensions didn't take place, and in April 1944 the base was officially reopened following the arrival of 199 Squadron. Equipped with the latest short Stirling aircraft, the squadron carried out radar jamming operations to confuse the enemy. However, the station was short-lived. After 199 Squadron was disbanded, shortly after VE Day, RAF North Creake was quickly run down and became a storage area for de Havilland mosquitoes. The station closed in September 1947. Today, the former airfield is dominated by industrial installations among the trees, and a small community reside in a number of converted airfield buildings. Among these is the airfield's former control tower, which has undergone significant changes since it was constructed in late 1942. Following its wartime role as a control tower, the building has since been used as offices, flats, and converted to form a private dwelling, with the addition of cedar shingles and a pitched roof. But in the autumn of 2011, the building changed hands once again, becoming home to classic car enthusiast Nigel Morter and his wife Claire. The couple's shared tastes in modernism and airfield architecture have led them here after a 7-year search for their ideal home.
Both Claire and I love modernism. It's the architecture of the building was one of the strongest desires we had. Secondly, it was the aviation history. My background and my family is they all worked in aircraft manufacture, so it was a combination of loving the building and the history of the airfield itself and the interest in aircraft, which has always been in my background.
Over the coming months, the couple intend to restore this historic building to its former glory. The exterior is set to appear just as it did during the Second World War, while the couple intend to transform the interior into a guest house with a 1940s flavour.
We want to make the control tower look like a control tower again. It spent years looking more like a Swiss chalet than a control tower. Ultimately, we'd like to open it as a B&B and have some kind of commemoration of what happened here. So we want to highlight the history of this airfield because it's not very well known.
In October 2012, work is well underway. The exterior has been stripped of its cedar shingles and the pitched roof has been removed.
So this isn't originally the front aspect, but it's become the front aspect of the control tower now with the front door going in. We didn't put this in, it was put in after the war when it became an office. It was originally a window just there, but we're going to keep this as the front door. The intention with the building is, you can see we're going back to the flat roof. We've restored the steps going back up using the original Second World War treads. And the intention with the rest of this aspect of it is to get rid of all the soil pipes that come down and all the wires going around it and to re-render so you've got a clean face again to try and return the control tower back to some kind of idea of faithfulness. That's the idea.
Nigel takes us on a tour of the control tower in its current condition. Inside the building is in various states of repair, with the current decor reflecting an interesting mix of tastes. The original internal layout has also been altered over the years. On the ground floor, parts of the main corridor have been opened up to form a lobby.
So this area here would have originally actually been lavatories. They were split into ranks. You had lavatories here, lavatories going towards what is now the front door, and the lavatory in the room here, which is still there, not the original lavatory sadly, but in the right place. And this was opened up after the war when they asphalted all the floors to turn it into an office. We've discovered a structural issue. This is part of the stairs, and it has a foundation stone underneath which should be supported. So the idea is we're going to put a wall back in here and have a doorway going to the lavatories and cloakroom and a cupboard here. We're keeping the space as open as we can. Leading through into what will be the guest living room. This was originally the meteorological office, and the telex printers were in the corner, and it had a wall going down the side housing the telex printers. Originally, of course, it didn't have any kind of fires in here because it would have been electric heating to minimise the glow that could have been seen, because they wouldn't have had blackouts in the windows. And you can see we're using all kind of period furniture in order to get the kind of feel that we feel this building deserves. So the shape of the room is pretty much as we're going to keep it now. The difference will be is there'll be wooden parquet flooring throughout, which has been reclaimed from a school in Sheffield. And ultimately we'll probably open up the doors here to give us a wider space and a bit more light.
The other side of the lobby was the switch room, originally accessed only from the outside of the building.
This was a switch room in here, now currently our dumping room, but will be our office eventually. The purpose of the switch room was to isolate if there was any chance of an enemy attack on the airfield. What they did was they were able to switch off all the lights to the runway and the airfield generally just to put it into darkness from one switch, and that was the purpose of it. So out the front of the building there were numerous wires running towards the airfield, which we've found in what are like old glazed soil pipes. There's 3 pipes leading from the building full of copper wire.
Nigel leads us into the former watch office, now a kitchen and living area for the couple.
This is exactly the original shape it was during the war, but as you can see the central window is missing. The wall that was originally between them when we moved in we've taken down, and at some point we'd like to reinstate these windows with up to their original height, which we think is up there. We're not absolutely sure, but we're going to determine what size the windows were during the war. The kitchen is coming out. This end will be a dining room and living area for us and with B&B. This end will be the kitchen, and we've sourced the kitchen, which is actually a 1950s kitchen rather than 1940s. So we thought that would be appropriate for when, if we imagine it was converted directly after the war, which is the kind of feel we're going for.
With the ground floor covered, Nigel then takes us upstairs, where there have also been many changes to the original layout of the building. Starting with the former signals office.
This is the signals office. It's not the full size that it was. These cupboards, or the cupboard for the other room next door, have, and the wall is actually reduced the size of the original signals office. But this is part of the room where they would have received the original signals during the war. This will be one of our B&B rooms, and you can see the nature of the furniture that we're trying to keep it in keeping with the age of the building, and that's the whole idea of what we'll be doing, is that everything will be as much in keeping as we can make it. So you get, if it's not functioning as a control tower, at least it will feel period.
Opposite the former signals office was the controller's restroom, now a fluorescent green bathroom.
Well, this is the controller's restroom, and this is the reason why you find me in working clothes. We're just decommissioning all the hot water because the tank for it used to run into the void, which was the pitch roof upstairs. And as you'll see in a moment, we're actually reinstating the roof, and it's being prepared to have a new coat of asphalt on it. But the purpose of this room, after we've finished, this will become a bedroom again, in keeping with it being a controller's restroom. So all the plumbing will come out, that cupboard will come out, and that will be a doorway through to its ensuite. So this, once again, will be a restroom.
Nigel takes us into the former control room, which has since been split to form various rooms. Once an open-plan room offering commanding views over the entire airfield, today this part of the building is a far cry from the days of being the nerve centre of a wartime bomber station.
Now we come to the control room. It has a step down to the control room. We're not sure why, but it's certainly replicated from other towers, so we assume it's an original feature. So we imagine it's something to do with the structural arrangement and design of the building, but we've never been fully able to determine the reason for that. But what you see in front of you now is, with all these walls, wasn't how it was during the war. None of these walls existed. One of the original features we still have is the floors, which we were delighted to find. These are the original oak strip flooring that the tower was built with. We found some matching oak strip flooring from a house in South London, which is exactly the same, so we'll be replicating it all the way through. What is now a bathroom is again part of the original control room, but will remain in fact two bathrooms, and you can see the nature of the suites we'll be using, which are Art Deco reclaimed suites. Now, of course, the chimney breasts that you see are post-war. They didn't have open fires, but they'll be a feature that we continue to have. Beyond that, all the plastic tongue and groove and the bathroom suites will come out. They'll all be period.
Nigel continues into one of the bedrooms.
So this is another part of the control room. This is the second bedroom now, but actually the idea eventually is to open it all up with the bedroom next door, which we'll see in a moment. It should of course have 3 windows, and you can see the ghost marks of the original window here and going up the top. They were the biggest sort of windows in here originally that they had in control towers. And we're undecided at the moment whether we're going to go for the latter reduced windows when we replace, or whether we'll go for the original full size. But once again, you can see that we're using period furniture. You can see that the flat roof upstairs is leading to a mess coming down the chimney. And again, that of course is the fire side of the chimney breast we saw in the bathroom, which will remain.
The removal of the partition wall will reopen the space with the other bedroom next door.
So this is the other half of the bedroom we're looking at next door. This wall will be coming down in a reasonably short amount of time, because all the architrave you can see that they'll picture around, probably more accurately, is not original. And you can see where the windows actually rise above it where they were originally, which is, as I said before, probably where we're going to take them back to when money allows. This is of course all oak strip flooring underneath. We're hoping it's in reasonable condition. If it's not, we'll repair. We have a non-original fireplace here which we'll be keeping, and at the moment it's dropping down filth from the roof repair, and that's the fireplace that we're going in. And as you can see, in keeping with everything I've been saying so far, that's a period fireplace, a 1930s fireplace, which we kind of feel will suit the character of the building.
Nigel then leads us out onto the balcony and up to the roof, where preparation work is underway for the new asphalt coating. It's June 2013, and after a prolonged and cold winter, the control tower has undergone many changes. And it's not just the building itself that's seen some changes. The surrounding land has been transformed into a mixture of wildflower meadow and landscaped gardens, and there are also plans for the derelict former speech broadcast building.
Right, we've come over to the speech broadcast building. It's currently a shed that's used to store some car parts for my cars, but the idea for this is to set it up as an exhibition space to the airfield. We're going to get some old relics that we've found from the airfield, things that we've found such as the window and other items that we've found, but also we want to do a timeline of the airfield so people can understand and interpret what happened here, because it is a bit of a lost airfield, this one, in terms of history. But you can see also in front of it, we're really pleased this year that the meadows just started to come up, and you can see the oxide bases. The idea has been to clear the space around the tower so you could see the tower in its original situation. And we've softened the slope down, taken the driveway and softened the slope down in front of the tower itself so you can see it from the road in all its glory, so to speak. What's interesting is that we actually recently sent some photographs of how the tower was during the war from someone that had them from a cousin that served here during the war. And interestingly, how we set out the gardens is almost identical to how it was during the war. An entire coincidence, but a very pleasing one nonetheless.
While things at the control tower are far from complete, the interior is finally taking shape.
Okay, hopefully you'll see some changes. I believe last time we were here we had an acro prop standing here, so we have had some changes. We've now got substantial support for the concrete cast stairs. These are eventually, that's going to be a cloaks cupboard with a door on it. That's going on inside here, which was the original office lavatory. We've now ripped this out. It's going to be a lavatory again with 1930s suites rather than the modern ones that they had in it.
Nigel leads us into the former meteorological office.
Right, I'm not sure how much has changed in here since the last time we were in, but certainly we've changed the log burner for an open grate, so we now have an open grate fire, and again we've put in a fire surround that's in keeping with the era of the tower, so that's actually a 1930s one. The only other changes I suppose in here are things like the lighting, which is characteristic of the kind of lighting we're going to use throughout the building, but apart from that, this still remains an ongoing project.
One of the rooms which has changed significantly is the former watch office.
The kitchen and dining room is an area where we've had some substantial changes, I think. First of all, we've swapped them around, so the dining room is now that end and the kitchen is this end. We've gone for what we thought was a kind of almost a period compromise, I suppose. This is a late 1950s kitchen. Because it's not finished, like everything else in this house, everything's started, nothing is finished. At the other end, we've got the dining room, what's become the dining room, which last time you would have seen the kitchen, the large white kitchen. We're particularly pleased with this because the space it created when we took out that kitchen felt lovely. But this will be the dining room with the 1930s suite that we've found.
Nigel takes us into the former signals office, currently undergoing major work.
There's not much changed in here, except it looks considerably worse than it did before. We've knocked out two cupboards. That's going to be the door into the ensuite. Sadly it has to move a little, but that's by the by. We have had heating put in throughout, but the radiators is presently being dropped off the wall so we can lay the wooden floors. But that's as far as we've got with this room. Hopefully, give us a month and it will all be up and looking splendid, he says, fingers crossed.
One of the rooms which has been totally transformed is the former controller's restroom.
Right, we come to the room that is closest to being complete. This is the controller's restroom. You can see we've dressed it up a bit. The wooden floors are down, the walls have had their first coat of paint, and the insulated plasterboard is at the top now. But you can get an impression of the style we're going for. You can see there's the furniture is in keeping with a 1930s bed, and the bedside cabinets, lights, and the nature of it. In the ensuite, you'll see that most of them are period fixtures, the basin, the lavatory. There's a mirror on this side of the wall, you'll see in a moment. A shower cabinet of that sort wouldn't have been contemporary in the 1930s, but some compromises need to be made. But we're more or less finished in here. You can see there's tiles missing, there's a few bits and pieces to do, some decorating in there, but this is more or less how it will feel.
Also undergoing work is the former control room area.
Right, well, last time we were here, this was an arch. It had an archway here, a hideous thing in my view, and it didn't have any door, but this would have originally had the door to the control room. The whole space beyond it was the control room. So we put it back in to give that demarcation, not that it will be one room, but to give the impression of what it was like to come in the control room. Now, very little has changed in here, so we'll take you straight round to what has, excuse the mess, the tools of the ongoing project. This is the one change we've made in this area is to fit this bathroom. As you can see, like everything else, we're going for a period bathroom with the classic pink Art Deco suite, typical lighted mirror cabinet as well. So we're delighted with the suite. We think it's wonderful with its original taps, but you can see, as I explained before, it's something that started, it's not finished, like everything else.
However, one thing that has been finished is the roof of the building.
We're up on the roof now, and this is the bit that we can say is properly finished, I suppose. You can see with the railings put in now, it really does look the part. The asphalt that was here has made a splendid job of at the curbs putting in 45 fillets to finish the edges off. And around each of the uprights he's put a circle of asphalt on it. It really is an incredible job. Watching them do it was an art form. But the whole roof now we think looks absolutely splendid and affords us wonderful views of the countryside around.
It's July and exciting things have been happening at the control tower.
Well, today at the control tower has been a very exciting day. For the first time, the back of the house is looking completely like a control tower again. It's all one colour and looks whole. It is absolutely amazing.
The continuous good weather has allowed Nigel and Claire to complete painting the exterior of the control tower, which has totally transformed the look of the building.
It's very exciting.
Yay!
Woohoo! Happy days!
Definitely all right now.
That's excellent.
Elsewhere on the airfield, contractors have started work in preparation for the construction of a new biomass plant, which has recently been given the go-ahead by North Norfolk District Council. It's September, and as the autumn looms, Claire and Nigel decided to open the control tower to the public for the first time as part of a nationwide event held by English Heritage. Over 4 days, a total of around 300 visitors were treated to tours of the control tower, which is still a work in progress, as well as a chance to see local model maker Tony Nelson's 6-scale replica of a short Stirling aircraft, which once flew from the airfield.
In the middle? Yeah, like that. Right, Emma. Wheel chops.
Can we help? We're standing here like Lennon.
One morning was devoted to those who remember the airfield when it was still operational.
Of course, what the books tell you is actually the reasonably dry history of the nuts and bolts of what happened, and what we're very keen to find out is the personal histories of people. What it was like to be here, what it was like in this area, and what impact it had on the locality, and those kind of things. So, any memories at all that anyone has, or has from remember their parents talking about, we'd love to hear it.
So after 4 days of letting over 300 strangers into their home, how do Nigel and Claire feel about the event?
It's been a fantastic journey for us, meeting people who live locally, who've come from further afield, or because they've had family who have served from here, or in fact people who've lived here over the years. It's been
plenty of them.
Just wonderful.
Yeah.
So over 4 days we've had the best part of 300 people come come on tours, have tea and cake, and chat to us about their memories and things that they remember from being here, or have just been really interested in listening to what happened here.
It's all been fascinating, really, and it's part of the process, isn't it? That you talk about what you know about the building and what you know about the history, but it's also what they can give you, and that's part of the two-way street. It's felt a bit of a privilege, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have to say though, now after 4 days, I'm ready for a beer.
Absolutely.
By October, work is well underway on the construction of the biomass plant, and preliminary work has also started on a new solar farm, which is to be situated west of the north-south runway. Meanwhile, at the control tower, work is progressing on the inside of the building.
So this is the former signal room, and this is going to be the second B&B room. We're currently laying the wood flooring, which came out of a house in London and matches the flooring that we've got on the other side of the house really well. And painting's next.
With plenty still to do, the couple have set an opening date, intending to open for business by June 2014, to coincide with the 70th anniversary of D-Day, which saw the first mission from RAF North Creake. This leaves just 7 months to get things finished. One of the major tasks is to replace the building's modern windows with units faithful to the style of the originals, as well as reinstating the missing centre windows which once overlooked the runways. On the lower floor, removing the plasterboard has already revealed clues relating to the original window configuration.
Well, we're just in the process of doing the kitchen and dining room, and we took out the boxing in. Well, it was actually a block wall that was here, and it's revealed something quite interesting about the original structure of the tower. We knew the windows themselves had been reduced, but you can see now exactly how small they were. They were a lot larger upstairs, but downstairs you can see this green is the original render, and this is about the full extent of it from the sill here. And the original lintel for the windows during the walls here, this concrete beam here, that's the original lintel with the brickwork above. You can see the remnants of the original colours. We plan to open it right up so it matches the other ones, but before that's lost we thought we'd get a record of it.
By early spring 2014, the replacement windows were fitted, completing the authentic wartime look of the control tower. But with the opening date looming, are Nigel and Claire ready to reveal their transformation to the public?
Hello, and welcome to the control tower.
While the exterior looks complete, Nigel and Claire have been busy adding the finishing touches to the interior and the new guest rooms.
Right, we're now in the hall. You can see a great deal has changed. We've got the parquet flooring down now, all being polished. The doors are painted, the pictures are up, and it's more or less as we wanted it. Coming through now, we've got the lavatory downstairs, which we've finished now. It's all completed, so we're happy with that. And going through into the living room, this is the guest living room, which used to be the meteorological office and the teleprinter's office. It's all laid out as we wanted it now. We've got the open fireplace. You can see the nature of the windows, our replacement windows that replace the PVC. We're really, really pleased with those. And we've also replaced the door out there as well in the position where it should have been. All the reclaimed radiators are in now, the plumbing all works, and it makes a very comfortable home. Right, walking through to the kitchen now, you can see there's original pictures of the control tower up on the walls, and this is a space we're really pleased with. It came together. You can see now the windows are all in place. We get far more light putting the original window back in. It is larger than it would have been during the war, but it matches upstairs, so we're particularly pleased with those. We've pretty well finished the kitchen now, and even though it's a concession to the 1950s, we're pleased with it. And I was particularly pleased about the fact that many disparate parts came together. Sections bought from auction and eBay, and all the unified by the worktops. We're very pleased with that. Another artefact, we think it's an artefact at least, is the lamp which came out of the armoury, and we think it's original to the airfield. It's got no markings on it, but it seems the right period and certainly the right style. So it kind of brings it all together.
The transformation continues upstairs.
Right, we're on the landing, an area that we really wanted to look like the control tower would have originally, so we've got the colours that it would have been in during the war, were as close a match as we could get, but certainly the effect with the bricks above and the render below. It wouldn't have had these oak strip flooring in, and we did that to match with the control room. It's exactly the same size, and we think it suits the area well. And we're now going into the signal room, which I think looked very different the last time you were here. I think we were just starting the floors, putting the battens down, and we're really pleased with the space. It's got all the original furniture, and we've got the original Art Deco bathroom in the ensuite. So it's come together. We're very pleased with it.
But while the new guest rooms are complete, there is still work to be done to the former control room, which is to become the couple's private living quarters.
Right, okay, we're going into the control room. You can tell it's the control room and it's the private part of our house now, and you can tell that because it's not finished. This doorway's moved, of course, because there was two doorways going in here before, because this was two separate rooms. And now you can see as you come in, this is now one large room, which allowed us to put the window back. This is the size these windows were during the war, but the building was designed to have them right up to that top lintel there, so we've kept the apertures as they were. We think they make a rather attractive feature. We've put in wardrobes across where the door would have been, and you can see the scar of where the wall was built between the two rooms. An interesting feature that we found is these holes in the floor. Now, we had some suggestions of what they were when we moved in, but what's become apparent as we made the room one again is that these are actually flaps that you could lift up, and I would imagine they were just finger holes for lifting them, so that you could get access to wiring and the like underneath, as the control desks would have been placed at intervals across here. And I would imagine that hole there is actually a lead that would have fed one of the control desks. So anyway, this room is yet to be finished. We're planning on finishing it over the next 6 months or so that we at least can be comfortable. But it's one of those projects, it's ongoing, and there's this, the gardens, and a few outbuildings, and then we'll be there, probably in around about 10 years.
So with the control tower ready to receive guests, Nigel and Claire are all set for their grand opening.
Well, thank you very much for coming, and welcome to the control tower. It's an absolute privilege to have you all here, so thank you so much for making the effort. It's kind of classic grand design style really for us. We're massively over budget and not quite finished, as you'll see. But we're nearly there, so thank you for joining us, and luckily we've got the weather.
The ribbon was cut by former resident Lord Melchett, who lived in the control tower during the late 1940s, while his father started a grass drying business in the southern T2 hangar.
So I declare the control tower open.
With the control tower finally open for business, how do Nigel and Claire feel about the big day?
It's been a fantastic day. We've had so many people come and give us so much positive feedback about what we're trying to achieve here, and it's been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's been a lot of hard work getting here, but it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been extraordinary how interested people are, because of how we've talked before about how secret the base is and how little is known about it, and people have been very, very interested in what happened here. And getting Peter Melchett, Lord Melchett, to open up, it was such a nice bit of symmetry, and with the music, the vintage flair, the beer, it's all been wonderful. It's time to sit back and enjoy it.
It is really, yeah.
So after a 3-year journey, Nigel and Claire's dream of living in a former wartime airfield building has finally become reality. And while the rest of the airfield looks to the future, their efforts pay tribute to those who served at RAF North Creake throughout the Second World War, ensuring that this airfield's important past is not forgotten.